Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the fall campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. Last week, Jacqueline and Mandy picked up 2 experience along with a pair of new masks from Venice in our TCU-themed Carnival of Horrors. After we upgraded the decks, this week we're back to the main campaign as we return to the secret name. First up, let's set the scene for this scenario.
Scenario 3. The secret name. Check campaign log. If the investigators are members of the lodge, proceed to intro 1. If the investigators are enemies of the lodge, skip to intro 4. If the investigators learned nothing of the lodge's schemes, skip to intro 5. If the investigators are never seen or heard from again, skip to intro 6.
As we saw when we did our TCU-themed Carnival of Horrors last week, the investigators are enemies of the Lodge because the Silver Twilight Lodge came to Venice to harass them. So, we go to intro 4. 1, 2, 3, it should be this one.
Mystic Sidebar.
Nope, I don't get the Mystic Sidebar. So I think we gotta go here.
To this end, I have a
What? No. Okay, that's not it either.
Intro 4.
Here we go.
After your confrontation with the president of the Silver Twilight Lodge, you travel to the manor of the Arkham Historical Society in Southside. You are positive that the events you experienced in the woods last night have something to do with the creature that kidnapped those 4 unfortunate souls. It's just a hunch. A feeling that crawls along the back of your neck, imploring you to look away. But you're sure that everything is connected. You're just not sure how. As you enter, one of the Historical Society's many researchers greets you and asks if she can help in any way. You give a cursory description of the information you're looking for, just enough that she can direct you where to look, but vague enough to leave your motives at the door. I don't know why you are researching such morbid affairs, but the records you're looking for should be in the library on the 3rd floor, the researcher says. You thank her and head to the 3rd floor, where you begin to study the history of witchcraft in Arkham. In the late 17th century, Arkham was one of the New England towns caught up in the hysteria of witch trials. Accusation of witchcraft spread like wildfire, and many of the accused were executed by hanging or burning, guilty and innocent alike. But there was one witch whose infamy rose above the rest, and whose mystical power was never in question. Keziah Mason. You recognize the name as the ghost who supposedly haunts the old witch house in French Hill. You had always thought her to be a work of fiction, a tall tale meant to scare young children away from the condemned house. But the Historical Society's records indicate that Keziah was a real person, a powerful witch who had fled from Salem over 200 years ago. You are no stranger to real witchcraft. If Keziah Mason had anything to do with the coven you encountered in the woods, you must discover that connection. You leave the manor and head toward French Hill, where the witch house awaits. Skip to setup.
I apologize for a little bit of the derpiness in finding the right intro audio recording. They're very small on my phone, so I have to sometimes guess and click through a little bit just to find the right intro, the right voice, the right audio recording that I need. But anyway, let's next take a look at our tarot reading. So on the good side, we look at the Empress 3. So during the first agility test each investigator performs this round, they get +1 agility. On the bad side, we have the Judgment 20. So when the game begins, which I actually did this during setup, so the order is slightly off, but it was the only way I could make sure I got everything done for setup. When the game begins, replace the highest non-negative token in the Chaos bag with a skull. Swap them back after the game ends. So the +1 there is actually supposed to be in the bag. It's on the card to help me remember, hey, this has got to go back in after the scenario is over. But anyway. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at our opening hands. Jacqueline gets to start off with something in play. She'll be our lead investigator once again. She gets to start off with 4 of Cups, Chalice of the Heart in play. 3 cost to play, +1 will. On a reaction, of course, when the game begins, if 4 of Cups is in your opening hand, put it into play. Seek clarity in your heart and mind. So we'll put that into play right away. Next up, we have an Enchanted Bow. 3 cost to play, will and agility on commit. Uses 3 charges. As an action, exhaust Enchanted Bow to fight. You must either use will or agility instead of combat and get +1 skill value for this attack. Deals +1 damage, and as an additional cost to initiate the ability, you may spend 1 charge to have this attack target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location, and ignore aloof and retaliate for this attack. 2 hand slots and an arcane. Next up we have the Mystic's Bestie. Twila Catherine Price, Lost in a Dream. 3 cost to play, lore and agility on commit. As a reaction, after you spend 1 or more charges from a spell asset, exhaust Twila Catherine Price, place 1 spell charge on that asset. Then we have Emergency Cash level 2, which will let her gain 3 resources and draw a card. Finally, we have Word of Command. 2 cost to play, name a spell card. Search your deck for 1 copy of the named card and draw it. Shuffle your deck. Mandy, we'll start off. Actually, I'm pretty happy with Mandy's hand so far. We'll start off with the card I'm not real happy to see, Guided by the Unseen. 2 cost to play, lore and will on commit. Uses 4 secrets. During a skill test at your location, the performing investigator may search the top 3 cards of their deck for a card that can be committed to this test. You may spend 1 secret to commit that card, shuffle the performed investigator's deck, and it takes an arcane slot. Then we have her Dream Diary, Dreams of an Explorer. 2 cost to play, lore, agility, and will on commit. You can only include this card, yada yada yada, which we've done. While we're at a location with at least 4 Shroud, Essence of the Dream gains 2 question marks, and when your turn begins, as a reaction, search your bonded cards for Essence of the Dream and add it to your hand. Takes up a hand slot. Then we have Burning the Midnight Oil, lore and agility on commit. Investigate when this action begins, gain 2 resources. Survey the area. While in your hand or committed to a skill test, gains lore equal to your agility, so in this case 3, and agility equal to your lore, which is 5 for Mandy. And Quick Thinking, 1 wild card on commit. If you succeed by 2 or more after this test resolves, you may immediately perform and take an action as if it were your turn. This action doesn't count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. So that's our starting hands. Next up, let's take a look at our Act and Agenda deck. So we will take a look at our agenda first. The Hermit 9. Look for answers within and not without. Many paths lead to the same answer. Contemplate the greater truth. Each non-weakness enemy gets +1 health. After you defeat Brown Jenkin or Nahab as a reaction, gain 1 clue from the token bank, 2 instead if there are 3 or more investigators in the game, and we need 4 doom to advance. And our starting act. Investigating the witch house. When you arrive at the old witch house, you find it in a sorrier state than you imagined. Surrounded by a crooked picket fence, the house looks as though it may fall apart at any minute. The front door is locked, but you are able to easily enter through one of the windows after pulling apart the rotting wooden boards covering the shattered glass. Objective: if each undefeated investigator is in Walter Gilman's room, investigators may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and we need 6. As we'll see when we move over to the map, however, that number is actually slightly higher, but Jacqueline and Mandy will move over to the map, so let's go meet them there. Here's our starting map. Jacqueline and Mandy start off at the Moldy Halls. Let's take a look at this location. As you enter the witch house, you are immediately struck by the musty, stale air. The timber smells of decay and mold. Paper peels off the walls. It is no wonder this house was condemned. And we'll flip over to find. Shroud of 4, 2 clues. Haunted, lose 3 resources. Oh joy, so the haunted keyword's back again. Within the aged, decrepit walls of the witch house, the only signs of life are the rats which scurry in and out of the holes in the walls. And the reason I mentioned when we were going through the act deck that the number is a little bit higher is I'm going to talk about Walter Gilman's room. So this is the location that we need to be in to advance the act. The act. But the door to Walter Gilman's room is locked. As an additional cost to enter Walter Gilman's room, the investigators in the moldy halls must spend 1 per investigator clues as a group. For whatever reason, this room was kept locked even after the building was condemned. You wonder where the key might be. So we'll get the 2 clues out for that. And then that should be everything set up. So let's get into this scenario, and Jacqueline's first turn will start us at her play area. For her first action, Jacqueline's actually going to go ahead and play her emergency cash, which will give her 3 resources and draw her a card. You can never be too prepared. So we'll give her 3 more resources, which will bring her up to 8, and then draw a card. So Jacqueline draws. Clairvoyance, level 3. 4 cost to play, uses 3 charges, will and lore on commit. Spend a charge to investigate using will instead of lore. You get +2 for this investigation, +2 will. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at your location, but if you pull a good symbol, take 1 horror. Which will immediately spend the 3 resources and play out. So we'll get her 3 charges for that. Alright, there are 4 charges. And then action 3 will take us over to the map. Action 3 will move Jacqueline over to this first decrepit door. I'm going to go through the unrevealed side once because they'll all be the same. There are no markings or clues which would inform as to who this room once belonged to. Only the stench of mold and the sound of rats scampering on the other side. We find Shroud of 2 clues. Forced, after you reveal Landlord's quarters, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a swarm of rats and spawn it in the moldy halls. Shuffle the encounter deck. Haunted, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a swarm of rats and spawn it in the moldy halls. Shuffle the encounter deck. Oh joy. Alright, so we gotta go find a swarm of rats. There we go. Okay. So we'll give that a shuffle. Alright, so we'll take our first look at Swarm of Rats. 1/1/3, it's a hunter. A horde of cruel rats skitters forth in an undulating wave of claws, teeth, and mottled fur. 1 damage on attack. It's actually got 2 health because of our agenda. And it's making friends with Jacqueline. So anyway, that will get the 2 clues out for Landlord's quarters. So that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy, going into her turn, she'll start off by exhausting ancestral knowledge to draw one of her skills, so she will draw. Opportunist, commit only to a skill test you're performing. If you succeed by 3 or more, return Opportunist to your hand after this test instead of discarding it. Okay, so action 1 will be to move over to the Landlord's quarters. Action 2 will be to... You can probably take a damage. I think I'll start working on those clues, though. So I'll go ahead and investigate using Burning the Midnight Oil. And I gain 2 resources. You'll sleep when you're dead, so we get the 2 resources, which will bring Mandy up to 7. And then 5 to 2, I'll commit Quick Thinking to go up 4. skull. Man, I can never hold it. -1, -3 instead if you're at an extra dimensional location. So Mandy still passes by 3. Which means we do get a clue and we get to take an action. Alright, so the extra action, so Mandy has 1 action left, not counting the quick thinking action. The quick thinking action will be to run the investigate back. She's still up 3. Let's do this. -1 gets her another clue. And then for action 3, Mandy will take the rats off of Jacqueline. So that will do it for Mandy, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Mandy takes the bullet for Jacqueline. Mostly because I need that thing off of Jacqueline so I can get something for attacking in play. But anyway, let's go ahead and re-ready everything, reset everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource, goes to 5. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 8. Jacqueline draws. Read the signs. 2 cost to play. Lore and will on commit. Investigate plus will for this investigation. You may ignore any effect or keyword which would trigger during this investigation. And if you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at your location. Mandy draws. Deduction, level 2. 2 lore on commit. If you succeed while investigating a location, discover 1 additional clue at that location, 2 instead if you succeed by 2 or more. So you should be able to get clue generation going quickly, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. Mythos Phase, first doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Unhallowed Land. Revelation test agility 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If a Cursed Treachery is discarded by this effect, deal 1 direct horror to your investigator and to each of your ally assets. Thanks to the tarot card, Jacqueline is only down 2, but do I care too much about... I don't care too much about taking the horror here, so we'll test down 2. +1 means she's only down 1, so we discard 1 card, and we only care if we hit a curse, which we do not. So that's all handled there. Mandy draws. Fate of All Fools. Revelation, if there's no other copy of Fate of All Fools in play, put it into play in your threat area. Otherwise, an investigator with another copy of Fate of All Fools in their threat area gains the top card draws the top card of the encounter deck. That card gains Peril. Its effects can't be cancelled, and cards can't be committed to skill tests while resolving its Revelation effect. So we have to put that into play in Mandy's threat area. So anyway, that will do it for the Mythos Phase. Investigation Phase now, and we need to deal with this swarm of rats so we can get the scenario moving. So let's drop down to Jacqueline and do that. Action 1 for Jacqueline will be to pay 3 resources and go and play the Enchanted Bow. So once again, uses 3 charges. As an action, we can exhaust Enchanted Bow to fight, using either agility or will for this attack instead of combat, +1 skill value, and we deal +1 damage for the attack. And as an additional cost to initiate the ability, I may spend 1 charge to have this ability target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location. If I do, I ignore aloof and retaliate for this attack. We'll get that out of shot. And then we'll get the 3 charges out for the Enchanted Bow. Let's see. Then for action 2, do I want to shoot at the rat? I probably should. Just try to take it out in one shot. So, question is, do I engage it off of Mandy? I think I can probably just attack it if I put Jacqueline's ability behind it, just so I make sure I don't miss. But I mean, 7 to 1. I'm up a lot, and this is going to be the only skill test probably that Jacqueline's taking this turn. So up 6. Three tokens. Okay. Right. Token 1, we find Tentacle Touch, which probably needs to get canceled. This has to be a doozy of a combination to fail Jacqueline, though. Remember, she is up 6. Elder Thing, which we'll take a look at that in a second because I think we will be resolving that. And come on. This thing does not want to focus for me today. There we go. A 0. Okay, so we will cancel the tentacle. And then looking at the Elder Thing, -3 if you fail, resolve the Hunter keyword on each enemy in play. So we don't fail because we canceled the tentacle. The Swarm of Rats are dead. The Swarm of Rats is dead. And then action 3 for Jacqueline will take us over to the map. Action 3 for Jacqueline will bring her back to the Moldy Halls. And then that will do it for her turn. Mandy is going to move action 1 into the Moldy Halls. I probably, barring anything crazy, Jacqueline can probably grab these clues next round, so I'll leave that to her. And I'll send Mandy over to this decrepit door, and we'll see what's on the other side here. Ooh, Joma Zerwick's room, Shroud of 3, 2 clues. As an action, search your deck for a blessed or item asset and add it to your hand. Group limit once per game. Haunted, you must either take 1 horror or choose and discard an asset you control. This room is rather plain. Several crucifixes hang on the wall, and a broken loom sits on a table in the corner. So we'll get the 2 clues out for that. That was action 2, and then, before I take her third action, I will remember to use Ancestral Knowledge to draw a free skill. So Mandy will draw. Another quick thinking, that if you succeed by 2 or more, you may immediately take an action as if it were your turn. Does not count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. So action 3, I'll commit this to an investigation, which puts me up 3. -1 gets her another clue and another quick thinking action. So for quick thinking, let's run the investigation back. This time we're only up 2. And +1 gets Mandy the other clue. So that was a very useful first couple of turns. But anyway, that will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Jacqueline made our only enemy right now go away. So we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes up to 3. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes up to 9. Jacqueline draws. Arcane Studies, 2 cost to play, 2 will, 2 lore on commit. Uses 2 resources, replenish these resources at the start of each round. Spend 1 resource as a fast action from your resource pool or from Arcane Studies to get +1 will or lore for this skill test. Mandy draws. Occult Evidence, I'd rather see this coming out of the deck on a search. Shuffle it back into your deck. When you search your deck and Occult Evidence is among the searched cards, reveal it, draw it, and discover 1 clue at your location. Max 1 research ability per search. Anyway, moving into the Mythos phase next, we get our second Doom on the agenda, and then Jacqueline draws. From the other side, test Agility 3. If you fail, resolve each haunted ability on your location. If you fail by 3 or more, resolve each of them twice instead. Jacqueline's haunted ability is lose 3 resources. Oh, that's going to be a problem. And she's alone? Even bigger problem. As much as I don't want to, I think I have to... I need her resources too badly this turn, so I'm going to throw her ability into this, mostly because I don't want to fail this if I can avoid it. Unfortunately, I am even. This may be a time where I have to keep the Elder Sign because I can't afford to cancel it. 3. Okay. First token up. A -1, which means she'd fail by 1. Second token up. Another -1. This has got to be either a 0, a +1, or an Elder Sign, or I've got a problem. It's a skull, which means I have to cancel the -1 and the skull. So I do fail by 1, which means I have to resolve the haunted ability and I lose all of my resources. That is very unfortunate. Mandy draws. Pulled by the stars. Put it into your threat area. Forced. At the end of your turn, if you did not move at least once during your turn, take 2 horror. As an action, test Will 3. If you succeed, discard Pulled by the Stars from play. If there's an exhausted which enemy at your location, you automatically succeed. Okay, well, fortunately, we do want to keep Mandy moving anyway. So, leaving the Mythos phase, I'll go ahead and draw a card. I'll draw a skill, so Mandy will draw. Another Opportunist, so if I succeed by 3 or more, back to my hand instead of discarding it. But anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase now, and Jacqueline... Do I still leave those clues? It's to Jacqueline, or do I send Mandy over after them? Unfortunately, I don't have Jacqueline's ability to fall back on, but it's probably still fine. So I think we'll start off in Jacqueline's play... Yeah, let's start off in her play area. By remembering something that was in my opening hand at the start of the game, you can probably guess what my plan was with those 3 resources before the haunted ability took them away. But anyway, action 1 will have to be to spend a charge of clairvoyance, which I'll put over here. Fortunately, even without the other half of my plan, even without the other 2/3 of my plan really, I'm still at 4. A 0 makes me take 1 horror from the clairvoyance, but more importantly, It does get me the 2 clues off of the moldy halls, so that's at least helpful. And then action 2 will take us over to the map. Action 2 will bring Jacqueline down to the other decrepit door, and we'll see what's on the other side here. Shroud of 3, 2 clues. Haunted, you must either place one of your clues in Frank Elwood's room, which is the location here, or place one doom on the current agenda. A desk covered in university papers and books occupies the one wall of the cramped room. Perhaps a student once lived here? So we'll get the 2 clues out for that. And then that will do it for Jacqueline's turn. Actually, no, Jacqueline has 1 action left because clairvoyance to get the clues, move down to Frank's room, so now we have 1 action left. To do a little bit of setup for next turn, Jacqueline is going to take a resource. And that will do it for her turn. Mandy will action 1 to the moldy hall, move to the moldy halls. Action 2 to Frank Elwood's room, so we've double stopped, pulled by the stars from going off. Then action 3, we will play... We'll spend 2 to play out her dream diary. So it basically is giving her a free 2 question mark commit on every turn. But anyway, that will do it for Mandy. At the end of her turn, the pulled by the stars doesn't go off, so she doesn't take any horror. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we still have no enemies in play, so we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 2. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 8. Ancestral knowledge also readies. Jacqueline draws. Another clairvoyance. This one level 5. This one would give me plus 3 will on the investigation, and if I succeed, I discover 2 additional clues, but I take 2 horror if I pull a good symbol. Mandy draws. Eon chart, 2 cost to play, agility, and lore on commit. Uses 3 secrets. During my turn, exhaust Eon chart and spend 1 secret. Choose and take one of the following actions. Move, evade, or investigate. Now, one thing I do want to clarify, just in case there's a point of confusion here. The way this card is worded, it means you're taking one of those actions. So if you don't use it to take an evade action, you would trigger an attack of opportunity. And it also lets you use any card that's got that keyword on it. But anyway, minor clarification aside, Mythos Phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 3. Jacqueline draws. Another swarm of rats. Oh joy, we saw Jacqueline kill one of these earlier. Mandy draws. Disquieting Dreams. Revelation test will 5. If you fail, put Disquieting Dreams into play in your threat area. Force, at the end of your turn, discard the top card of the encounter deck. When the encounter deck runs out of cards, discard Disquieting Dreams and reveal the top 10 cards of your deck. Draw each weakness revealed and discard each other revealed card. So Mandy right now is down 2. We'll put her... I really do not want this going into her threat area, so we'll commit Guided by the Unseen. Come on. Does not want to focus for me. Guided by the Unseen to bring her to down 1. Occult Evidence and 2 Opportunists to bring her up 2. Yep. And then does Jacqueline have any will that she can commit? Yeah, we can give her Arcane Studies to bring her up 4. The question is, do I want to throw Jacqueline's ability into this? And I don't... I don't think I'm up 4. Is Jacqueline probably is not going to need her ability to take out that swarm of rats. She's going to be attacking that up. She's going to be attacking that thing up 6, 7. She's going to be attacking that thing up 6. So I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability into this since they're both together. So up 4. I'm pulling 3 tokens. Okay. First token up we find Tentacle, which will probably get canceled. Skull, which was we saw earlier, -1. -3 instead if we're at an extra dimensional location, which this is not. And a -1. So we have to cancel the tentacle, otherwise we just fail. So leaving me with that means we pass by 2, which means I don't get the opportunist back, which is rather unfortunate, but there's no help for that. I just did not want Disquieting Dreams landing in Mandy's threat area, because discarding top 10 and drawing several weaknesses was not something I wanted to see. But anyway, fast action coming out of the Mythos phase. Mandy will draw a skill from Ancestral Knowledge. She will draw another deduction, so we can probably get clue generation moving. But that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase, Jacqueline needs to take out this swarm of rats, and we need to get this scenario moving along. Action 1, Jacqueline will exhaust the bow. She's up 6. Trying to take out that swarm of rats. Jacqueline finds a 0, so the swarm of rats is toast. And then actions 2 and 3 will take us over to the map. Actions 2 and 3 will involve Jacqueline moving all the way up to Walter Gilman's room and spending her 2 clues in the moldy halls to move in. Shroud of 4, 2 clues. As an action, draw 3 cards and take 1 horror, limit once per game. Haunted, discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. Gilman's room was of good size but queerly irregular shape, the north wall slanting perceptibly inward from the outer to the inner end, while the low ceiling slanted gently downward in the same direction. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House. So we'll get the 2 clues for that. And that will do it for Jacqueline's turn. Mandy, at the start of her turn, she gets her dream diary into her hand. Unfortunately, she's not at a location with 4 shroud, so this is only a 2 question mark commit. What do I do with the rest of Mandy's hand? It's not there. Oh, hidden right in plain sight. No wonder I couldn't find it. But anyway, action 1. We'll investigate committing deduction because I want to make sure I get both of these clues. I'm at 5, 7 to 3. I'm up 4. A 0 gets Mandy both clues. And then actions 2 and 3 will be the exact same as Jacqueline's second 2 actions. We'll move up to Walter Gilman's room, and then that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, also at the end of turn, Pulled by the Stars does not go off because Mandy did move. Enemy phase, we still have no enemies in play, thankfully. So we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 3. Mandy will gain 1 and go back to 9. Jacqueline will draw. Prophetic. Ooh, 3 cost to play. Uses 2 resources. Replenish these resources at the start of each round. Resources on Prophetic may be spent to pay for Fortune, Spell, or Spirit cards. During a skill test on Fortune, Spell, or Spirit cards, spend 1 resource from Prophetic. You get +1 skill value for the test. Nice. There was a hope. And then Mandy draws. Pathfinder. Ooh, 3 cost to play. Reaction, during your turn, if you're not engaged with any enemies, exhaust Pathfinder to move to a connecting location. But anyway, that'll be something that we'll probably want to play, but on the Mythos phase, the agenda advances first. Okay. Rats in the walls. As you explore the old, dilapidated house, the telltale scratching and scurrying in the walls becomes louder and more frequent. Every now and again, a fanged, furry creature darts across the wooden floor, scampering in and out of rat holes in the walls. You wonder if this house is more rat than wood. If Brown Jenkins is in play, which he's not, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a swarm of rats and spawn it at Brown Jenkins' location. If Brown Jenkins is not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for him and spawn it in the lead investigator's location. Additionally, if there are 3 or 4 investigators in the game, yada yada yada, we also get a swarm of rats in the witch house. So we'll go fish out Brown Jenkins. There he is. Sorry, dropped an encounter card on the floor. We'll give that a cut. We'll take a look at Brown Jenkins before he goes to Jacqueline and Mandy's location. 1/1/4. Creature Familiar Elite. Brown Jenkins, the Witch's Familiar. Aloof Hunter. Each ready creature enemy gets +2 fight, so he's actually a fight of 3. Forced. When the enemy phase is ready, if Brown Jenkins is ready, or when the enemy phase ends, if Brown Jenkins is ready, each investigator at his location discards his or her hand, then draws that many cards. 1 and 1 on attack. So we do have to deal with Brown potentially wheeling our hand. Wheel, for those of you who don't know, was a card back in Magic the Gathering days, where Wheel of Fortune, you have to discard your hand and draw that many cards. So that's where the term wheeling your hand comes from. But anyway, minor rambling aside there. The Familiar. Agenda 2A. The descriptions of the darting little furry object which served as her familiar were so painfully realistic despite their incredible details. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House. Each non-weakness enemy gets +2 health. Reaction, after you defeat Brown Jenkins or Nahab, gain 1 clue from the token bank, 2 clues instead if there are 3 or more investigators in the game, and now we need 6 doom to advance. Joy, so he's actually got 3 health as well. Jacqueline draws. Meddlesome Familiar. Okay, so if he's not in play, which he is, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a swarm of rats, spawn and engaged with you, then take 1 damage. Oh joy. So I'll grab another swarm of rats out of the deck. And we'll spawn and engage with Jacqueline, who will take a damage. Which is now a 3/3/3, which is a bit annoying. And then this will be Mandy's card from the encounter deck. Mandy draws. Unhallowed Land. we saw this earlier, test Agility 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If you nail a curse, deal 1 direct horror to your investigator and to each of your ally assets. So, right. So, Mandy is down 1. Elder Sign. We haven't seen this yet. Mandy's Elder Sign is +0. Search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test if able, and shuffle your deck. And, well, that's still going to fail. Well, either draw it or commit it to this test. So let's see. It's an agility test, and I'm going to go 3 deep for 1 target because I've got a little bit of a plan later. So card 1 for Mandy. Survey the area. This would actually pass her on this test. Card 2. Never mind. Shocking Discovery. Card 3 for FYI was Eureka. But because we drew Shocking Discovery, we cancel the search. We discard it, cancel the search and all of its effects, shuffle the search deck, and then we'll draw the top card of the encounter deck after we finish resolving Unhallowed Land. Alright, so that gets discarded, and then we discard the top card of the encounter deck, which here we don't want to see a curse, and we do not. And then from Shocking Discovery, Mandy draws Unstable Energies. Attached to your location. When you leave attached location, resolve each haunted ability on it. Forced. At the end of the round, if there are no investigators at attached location, discard Unstable Energies. And the haunted ability isn't going to matter for too long because we're going to be busy here at the open player window during the Mythos Phase. Mandy will draw her last skill from Ancestral Knowledge and find Surprising Find. Even though I cut 2 of these, I still can't get it away from underneath Ancestral Knowledge. Anyway, as a reaction, when you search your deck and Surprising Find is among the searched cards, put it into play in your threat area. You must commit it to the next eligible skill test you perform, and if you're successful, draw 1 card. Okay, and then we actually do have enough clues to advance the act, so we'll go ahead and do that. It didn't give any kind of timing restrictions on when we could do this. So, investigating the witch house advances into... let's stand over here. Still... Spectre of the Past. Standing in a dead man's room is disconcerting enough, but what you find within is enough to make you want to leave and never return. Walter Gilman's journal is filled with descriptions of his dreams and visions, each more terrifying and perplexing than the last. He mentions seeing the figure of Keziah Mason on more than one occasion, and at one point calls her by another name, Nahab. As soon as you read the name aloud, the nearby window shatters, and an all too familiar spectral mist invades the cramped space. When it recedes, everything about the room has changed. A work desk and an aged bookshelf occupy the far corner of Gilman's room, where his bed should be. The door you entered from is gone. Strange geometrical markings, drawn with a sticky red substance, cover the walls. Swap Walter Gilman's room with the set-aside Keziah's room, taking its place, and all tokens and cards at the former location are now at the new location. Remove each other location and play from the game. Choose an investigator to take control of the set-aside Black Book asset, and then shuffle both set-aside copies of Strange Geometry into the encounter deck. I apologize for not having that stay focused for me, but basically, we're swapping in Keziah's room. So now Keziah's room Gilman could not have told what he expected to find there, but he knew he wanted to be in the building where some circumstance had more or less suddenly given a mediocre old woman of the 17th century an insight into mathematical depths, perhaps beyond the utmost modern delvings of Planck, Heisenberg, Einstein, and de Sitter. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House. This flips into Shroud 3, No Clues. Reaction: after you successfully investigate Keziah's room, instead of discovering clues, put the top card of the Unknown Places deck into play unrevealed. Then you may move to that location. Haunted: discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a hex card is discarded. Draw that card. So, all tokens and cards of the former location are now at the new location, so the 2 clues are actually still there. Anyway, choose an investigator to take control of the set-aside black book. The Black Book, signed in blood. Will, lore, and wildcard on commit. You get 1 and +1 and +1. When you play a card, exhaust the Black Book and take X horror. Reduce that card's cost by X. He must sign in his own blood the Book of Azathoth and take a new secret name. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House, and that takes up a hand slot. Jacqueline's hands are full right now. What to do? Who do I want to give this to? The bow actually isn't going to turn out to be that great. Now, since it A, exhausts, and B, only does 2 damage. So I think I am going to give the Black Book, actually, to Jacqueline, because I've got something of a plan here. I'm going to go get something a lot better that I can use to defend herself with. So we'll give Jacqueline the Black Book. But anyway, let's take a look at our new act. Beyond the Witch House, among the books in the strange room is a black, nameless tome inscribed with dried red blood. It matches a description from Walter Gilman's journal of a tome he names the Black Book. This room must be the haunt of Keziah Mason from over 200 years ago. It is rumored that Keziah had discovered deep mathematical truths that allowed her to traverse space and time. Perhaps you can find a way out using this knowledge. Objective: only investigators in the Witch House may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and we need 10. Right, so... Okay, so remove... Alright. Right, remove each other location in play from the game. So, we'll see the map has changed a little bit once we move over to it, but... Get all those out. Move this all toward the bottom. The problem right now is I need that swarm of rats off Jacqueline so I can put this plan into motion. But anyway, Elder Sign should be back in the bag. So I think we'll go... Say hello to Mandy first, and we'll drop into her play area. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to take a 2 horror tax, but Mandy wheeling her hand right now would be way worse. So for action 1, she's going to spend 3 resources to play Pathfinder. Once again, as a fast action, during your turn, if you're not engaged with any enemies, exhaust Pathfinder, move to a connecting location. Sometimes, after horror haunts strange, far places. H.P. Lovecraft, The Picture in the House. Action 2... do I necessarily need to evade that, or do I think I just need it... I think I just need it off Jacqueline is what I need. Like I said, I'm going to be paying probably a 2 horror tax to do this from Pulled by the Stars, but I think this will work. So action 2, I'll go ahead and play out the aforementioned Eon chart. I'll get the 3 secrets for it. During my turn, I can exhaust it and spend 1 secret to choose and take one of the following actions. Move, evade, or investigate. So that's an accessory slot. I'll get the 3 charges for that. Or the 3 secrets right here. I kind of do want to put another location into play, though. So I will go ahead and exhaust the Eon chart and spend a secret. I'll investigate. She's up 2. Elder Sign, as we saw earlier, is a +0. Search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test. I'm going to have her go... Do I have her go 3 deep and take 1, 3 deep and take 2, or 6 deep and take 1? I think I'm going to have her go 3 deep and take 1. So first up, Mandy will find... Survey the area, which is maybe, but probably not. Card 2. Your Worst Nightmare, which I want nothing to do with. And... Hawkeye Folding Camera. I think we'll just take Survey the Area. So I'd rather be able to have the skill commit. But... The investigation action that we took will ultimately end up being successful. So we'll get to put an unknown places location into play. We'll cut that. Let me look. I think that... Oh, it's unrevealed. So we'll take a look at the flavor text here once, because they'll all be the same. It was also possible that the inhabitants of a given dimensional realm could survive entry to many unknown and incomprehensible realms of additional or indefinitely multiplied dimensions, be they within or outside the given space-time continuum, and that the converse would be likewise true. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House. Actually, this might work better if I bring this to the center of everything. So we'll do that. But Mandy's not going to move to it because action 3 is going to be to engage the swarm of rats off Jacqueline. So unfortunately, at the end of her turn, Mandy didn't move, and this is where the 2 horror tax comes in. So that will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline's turn will drop down to her play area. Actually, I kind of lied when I said it was going to be a 2 horror tax. For Mandy, it's going to be a 2 horror tax, but it's actually going to be a total of 4 horror, because Jacqueline's also going to take 2 horror to play out her Word of Command. So I can name a spell card and search my deck for 1 copy of the named card and draw it, shuffling my deck. Now, I'm going to use Mandy's ability here to go get both copies of Jacqueline's Storm of Spirits. So, Storm of Spirits 1 and 2. Okay. Ooh, I saw it was on top. Glad to shuffle that away. And then we'll take a very quick look at one of our copies of Storm of Spirits, because action 2 is going to be to play it for 3 resources, and I'm going to throw her ability into it. So Storm of Spirits. Lure and 2 combat on commit. Fight using will instead of combat. You get +2 will for this attack. If you succeed, instead of its standard damage, deal 3 damage to every enemy at your location. Any additional damage is dealt to the attacked enemy. If a bad symbol is revealed by this attack, deal 2 horror to each investigator. So I have to target the rats because they're not aloof, whereas brown is. But this will take brown out as well, thankfully. So Jacqueline is at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 3. She's up 6, pulling 3 tokens. And there's 3. Token 1 we find a 0. Card 2, or token 2. Why do I want to say card? Token 2 is an Elder thing, which I will probably be snap canceling, but I can survive it. Token 3. Still want to say card. -3, so I'll cancel the -3 in the Elder thing, so that the 0 is what gets resolved. And then all the enemies at the location take 3 damage. So the Swarm of Rats is defeated, as is Brown, and Jacqueline gets a clue for defeating Brown. Oop, why did I grab a charge? I need a clue. There we go. Alright, then action 3. Jacqueline should have taken 2 horror from playing that Word of Command. Then action 3 could actually be to take Mandy's test for her. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, actually, so that Mandy doesn't have to keep taking 2 horror, because Jacqueline's actually up 4 right now. Is there anything... Part of me wants to commit, but like I said, I'm up 4 in this test, and the only thing that fails me is a tentacle. That's informational, God, not hold my beer. -1 will stop Mandy from taking horror when she doesn't move, so that's very fortunate. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, no enemies in play. Thank you, Jacqueline. And then we'll move back up. We'll start resetting everything. Oh, we actually used both our investigators' special abilities that round. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes up to, well, 1. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 5. Jacqueline draws. Open Gate, Myriad Fast. Play only during your turn. Attached to your location, group limit 3 in play. Investigators may move between any 2 locations with an attached open gate as if the locations were connected. Mandy draws. Janae Beauregard, Intrepid Explorer, 5 cost to play. Lore and Agility on commit, +1 of each. During your turn, when you move to a location, exhaust him. Move a clue or a non-elite enemy from a connecting location to yours, or vice versa. 2 and 2 on Soak. Mythos Phase, we got our first Doom on the new agenda. Jacqueline draws. Trespasser. Revelation test Will 2. This test gets +1 difficulty for each non-weakness treachery in your threat area. If you fail, take 2 damage or 2 horror, which will probably be horror, but I'm probably wanting to pay horror to play something this turn. Gross. But anyway, Jacqueline is up 5. In the grand scheme of things, this isn't really a critical test, so I'm not going to throw her ability into this one. Oh, there we go. Elder Thing is -3 if you fail to resolve the Hunter keyword on each enemy in play. So Jacqueline still doesn't fail that. Mandy draws. Unhallowed Land. Test Agility 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If a Cursed Treachery is discarded by this effect, deal 1 direct horror to your investigator and to each of your ally assets. So right now I'm base up 1, or I'm base down 1. I'm going to commit Essence of the Dream to go up 1, because it's coming right back when Mandy's turn starts anyway. There we go. So that puts Mandy up 1. I'm not really bothered about the horror, because we've got a lot of soak. Actually, we've still got a lot of sanity, and Mandy at least has soak coming on board this turn. Skull is minus, as we saw earlier, is -1, 3 instead if you're at an extra dimensional location. So she does, actually she passes that. Because she was up, that's a 5, she was at 4 because of the tarot card. 5, 6 Essence of the Dream, -1 puts her down to even, so she does pass. Okay, that was slightly rambly, but anyway, Eon Chart should be unexhausted as well. That will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase now, and it's tempting to have Mandy just start machine gunning some more of these locations into play, so let's drop down to her play area. First things first, when her turn begins, she gets Essence of the Dream back into her hand. Action 1, she will spend 5 resources to play out our aforementioned friend, Janae Beauregard. So once again, +1 lore, +1 agility. During your turn, after you move to a location, exhaust him to either move a clue or a non-elite enemy to connect from a connecting location to your location, or vice versa. So we couldn't use that to move Brown, not that we'd want to anyway. That was action 1. I will exhaust the Eon Chart to take another investigation action. So I haven't used her second action yet. She's up, now she's up 3. So let's see if we can put another location into play. Skull says we can, so I'll bring another Unknown Places into play. And then we'll Pathfinder our way over to the map. We'll Pathfinder Mandy over to this Unknown Places location. And then we'll find, this is the first one we put into play, so we find Physics Classroom, Shroud of 4, 2 clues. Reaction, after you successfully investigate Physics Classroom by 2 or more, discover a clue at another unrevealed location, limit once per round. A place of higher learning, or a place where higher learning is shackled. Victory 1. So we'll get the 2 clues for that. And then I'll exhaust Janae to pull a clue from Keziah's room over to Physics Classroom, but we also have to resolve the haunted ability on unstable energy. So we have to resolve the haunted ability on Keziah's room. So we discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until we hit a hex, then draw it. So I'm going to do the discard off camera. That didn't take long, and is very unfortunate because, hey, look what's back. Pulled by the stars again. So now Mandy's got to keep moving or take horror. But anyway, we still haven't used Mandy's second action yet, so let's go ahead and do that. And we'll commit, right now she is 5, 6, we'll go 7, 8 to go up 4. And we'll go 4 more to go up by a lot. But that will also let me, from the physics classroom that would let me A, clear it off, and B, clear Keziah's room. So we're up 8. A 0 clears every active location of clues right now, so that's perfect. So Mandy gets the 3 clues from there. And she gets the last clue from Keziah's room, so that's perfect. And then for action 3... I think we just take a resource. Start building up her pool a little bit more, but anyway... That will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline's right here at the map as well, so we'll go ahead and move her down to the other unknown places. And once again, we have to resolve the haunted ability, so we're looking for a hex. That's a hex. Revelation Test Will 2. This test gets +1 difficulty for every 10 cards in the encounter discard pile. If you fail, discard an asset you control. Actually, I'm going to go make this a little bit easier on myself. Because now that I have to be sensitive to the number of cards in the discard pile, what I'm going to do just to help myself track that a little bit more easily, pardon the slight rattling you're hearing, but and me trying to weave my way around here, but what I'm going to do, just so you don't get confused when you start seeing a spin down on the under the encounter discard pile, I'm going to use that to count how many 10 cards I have in the discard pile, now that I have to pay attention to that. So let me go ahead and count this out. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have one group of 10 in the discard pile. So right now that's a Will 3 test, and Jacqueline is up 4. That should be completely clear of clues. Yeah. So Jacqueline up 4, and she finds a 0, so she's clear of extra-dimensional visions. And that didn't bring us up over a 10, did it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all clear there. So now Jacqueline finds Shroud of 2, 2 clues. Oh boy. Or 4 clues, I should say. Twilight Abyss. Forced, after you enter Twilight Abyss, test Combat or Agility 3. For each point you fail by, take 1 damage. These organic entities whose motions seemed least flagrantly irrelevant and unmotivated were probably projections of life forms from our own planet, including human beings. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House, Victory 1. Oh boy, that's going to be a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does Jacqueline have any of either she can commit? Oh, Storm of Spirits should be out of her hand. She's even right now on Agility, which is what I think she's going to test. So she's going to use Open Gate to go up 1. And do I want to use her ability on this, or do I want to use it on trying to work on those clues? She can take some damage, so I think I'm okay using it on trying to get those clues. Anyway, we are up 1. Elder Sign. Jacqueline's Elder Sign is +1. If this effect is cancelled or ignored, draw 1 card. I'm actually okay with not being able to draw a card from that because the fail would have been that much more catastrophic. But anyway, so that's been used. Second action, we'll spend second action will be to spend a resource and pay 2 horror to at long last play out every Mystic's bestie, Twila. Sometimes, this world, I wish I never came back. After you spend one or more charges from a spell asset, exhaust Twila, place a charge on that asset. Action 3 will be using a charge of Clairvoyance, and then we'll immediately exhaust Twila to keep it there. So, and I'm going to throw... I didn't throw Jacqueline's ability... Okay, no. I was saving Jacqueline's ability to throw it in here. That's what it was. So, she is up 5, 6, 7, 9. She's up 7. And I'm pulling 3 tokens. Which I have right there. So token 1, a skull, which is potentially catastrophic because we are at an extra dimensional location. Card 2, token 2, I still cannot get that straight, is an Elder thing, which could also be a big problem, but I don't think either of those fail her. And the Elder sign. Let me double check. Okay, which symbol can I keep? Because I'm definitely canceling the Elder sign. Okay, there are no Hunter enemies in play. So actually they're both effectively -3s right now. So I'll just cancel the Elder thing and the Elder sign. So I get 3 clues off of the... Yes. Oh no, I get 2 clues off the location. I would get 3 clues with Clairvoyance level 5. But I do get to draw a card because I canceled the Elder sign. So Jacqueline draws. Drawn to the Flame. Ooh. Draw the top card of the encounter deck, then discover 2 clues at your location. Anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we still have no enemies in play. With that, we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Before we jump into Upkeep Phase, I did finally remember to put the 2 horror that I took as part of the cost of playing Twila. But anyway, in the Upkeep Phase, Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 1. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 2. Jacqueline draws. Another Drawn to the Flame. That's going to be very handy if we need to start flying clues off of locations at the cost of the encounter deck. And then Mandy draws. You handle this one. Fast, play after you draw a non-peril card, but before resolving that card's effects. Choose another investigator. That investigator is considered to have drawn that encounter card instead. Gain 1 resource. And then at end of round, Unstable Energies goes away. Mythos Phase, we go up to 2 doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Vice and Villainy. Revelation, attach it to a non-permanent asset you control. Limit 1 per asset. Forced, when the encounter deck runs out of cards, discard attached asset. Forced, when attached asset leaves play, test Will 3. If you fail, attach it to a different non-permanent asset you control. I will attach that to Clairvoyance. Just because I figure I probably won't be getting rid of that for a while between Twila and... Speaking of which, those should be unexhausted. And then Mandy draws. Disquieting Dreams. Oh joy. Revelation, test Will 5. If you fail, put it into play in your threat area. At the end of your turn, discard the top card of the encounter deck. We saw this earlier. Mandy was able to dodge it last time, but I don't think she's going to be as lucky this time, unless... Let me look at Jacqueline's hand, actually. You know what? Jacqueline's going to handle this one. So we'll play this out that we just drew. Mandy gets another resource, goes up to 3. So now our attention turns to Jacqueline, who's actually up 2 on that test. And I'll commit... We'll commit Read the Sign since I've got since I think I've got my charge engine online now, and I've got plenty of clue generation. So I'm up 3. Elder Sign, which as we saw earlier is +1. If you cancel or ignore it, draw a card. Except I'm not ignoring it here because I didn't have to throw a cancel into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I'm just trying to check that to make sure that I didn't tip my spin down up. So now the board's actually relatively clear. So do we just go over and machine gun locations into play with Mandy? That actually sounds like a hell of a plan to me. So let's move over. Let's move over to Mandy, and we'll Pathfinder our way over to the map. Mandy's going to be busy before she even takes her first action, so she's Pathfindering her way over to Keziah's room. Technically, before her turn even starts, Essence of the Dream would come back to her hand. Then we're going to exhaust Eon Chart. Is that the last charge of it? It seems a little low, but oh well. We probably did use it to get a bit of a tempo jump, so we'll go ahead and investigate with that. Mandy's up 3. Yeah, she's up 3. Skull is -1 since she's not in an extra dimensional location, so we'll put a new Unknown Places location into play. Action 1. So now we're actually into Action 1 finally. Action 1 will move up to the newest Unknown Places, and here we find Shroud of 2 no clues earlier tonight. As an action, you request aid from your past self. Each investigator at this location may return 1 card from his or her discard pile to their hand. Each investigator who does so remembers that he or she meddled with the past. Group limit once per game. So no clues there. If there's something I wouldn't mind having back. Maybe not so much from Mandy. Jacqueline I wouldn't mind having more resources back because I'm very much hurting on resources right now. But that was Action 1. Action 2 will move back to Keziah's room. And then Action 3 will be to investigate again. She's still up 3. Tentacle touched. So didn't put quite as many locations as I would have liked into play, but that will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline's first action will be to investigate using Clairvoyance, and I'll use Twila. I'll exhaust Twila to keep the charge on Clairvoyance, and I'll throw her ability into this. Token 1, a -3, which we're up. So I forgot to check how much we were up. So 5, 6, 7 to 2, we're up 5. A -3 wouldn't fail us. -1 wouldn't fail us either. And the Elder Sign, which I will actually snap cancel that, and the -3. So we get the last 2 clues off the location, which gives us another victory point, and Jacqueline gets to draw a card for canceling the Elder Sign. She draws Shriveling level 5. You have no idea how welcome this is right now. Uses 4 charges, 3 costs to play. Will and 2 combat on commit. Uses 4 charges, spend a charge to fight. Getting using will instead of combat, plus 3 will and plus 2 damage for the attack. But if you pull a bad symbol, take 2 horror. So that was action 1. Action 2 will move Jacqueline up to Keziah's room. And then action 3, she will investigate at up 1. And I'm not going to commit. So Jacqueline right now, up 1. Skull is -1, surprisingly, so I get to put another Unknown Places location into play, and I have the option of moving to it, which I'm going to look at looking at the discard pile. Right now I've got brown and 2 rats in, actually I've got all 3 rats and brown in the discard pile. Now, as we might have seen as we saw earlier, there is a card that can bring brown back out, but splitting them up is probably fine right now. So I'll move Jacqueline down to this new Unknown Places location, and we'll find the 9th Ward, Shroud of 5, 2 clues. As an action, investigate using agility instead of lore. If you succeed after discovering clues, you may move to any extra dimensional location. But on a haunted, you can't leave the 9th Ward this round. During your turn, reduce the Shroud value of the 9th Ward by 1. But no victory points on it. Which we're already at 9 clues, so all we need to do right now is find the witch house ruins. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, there are no enemies in play, so we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then by the time I change my battery, we'll be back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 2. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 4. And Twilla, Pathfinder, and Janae, and the Eon chart should all be unexhausted. I'll keep those close though, because I'm probably using those again. Jacqueline draws Chthonian Stone, 2 costs to play, will and lore on commit. I can seal a bad symbol for 3 pulls of the tentacle. After I reveal the tentacle during a skill test, remove 1 charge from Chthonian Stone. Mandy draws Burning the Midnight Oil. Will or lore and agility on commit. Investigate. When this action begins, gain 2 resources. Anyway, Mythos Phase, we get our 3rd Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws Unstable Energies, which attaches to my location. Forced when I leave attached location, resolve each haunted ability on it. At the end of the round, if there are no investigators at attached location, discard Unstable Energies. Is Jacqueline just stuck there? I'll have to look into that. Mandy draws Maligned. Put it into your threat area. Increase the cost of each card you play by 1. As an action, test Will 3. If you succeed, discard Maligned. If there's an exhausted witch enemy at your location, this test is automatically successful. Great, so now we need to keep her moving, and every card she plays costs 1 more. Joy, joy. Anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase, let's move down to Jacqueline into her play area. We're over here in Jacqueline's play area. Action 1, she's going to exhaust Twilla to use a charge of clairvoyance. So she's up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She's up 4, and I'm going to throw her ability into this as well. So we're going to try to get those clues off the location in 1 shot. Token 1. See, I actually can get it right. Elder Thing, which wouldn't fail her, but a combination might. A +1, which would be a 1 horror tax if I can... Which would be a 1 horror tax, and a -1. So we can actually cancel the +1 in the Elder Thing, so we don't take any horror from that. We'll get the last 2 clues. So once we find the Witch House, we can advance, but we have a bit of a complicated issue. So Action 2 will take us over to the map, and I'll explain what's going on. I'm zoomed in way deeper than I normally go when I move over to the map. The reason why I'm zoomed in so deep is I need to explain an interaction here and how I'm going to get around it. So, on Unstable Energies has a clause that says, forced, when you leave attached location, resolve each haunted ability on it. The problem is, on the haunted ability for the 9th ward, says you can't leave the 9th ward this round. During your turn, reduce the shroud of the 9th ward by 1. So the problem here is, every time I go to try to leave the 9th ward, Unstable Energies will trigger and I'll just be stuck there. So basically I can't get Jacqueline out. So the way I'm going to rule this, so I can get around it, because it definitely sounds like a bug, and one of my Facebook groups agrees with me on it, is I'm going to rule that Jacqueline just can't move for the remainder of her turn, because that just seemed really weird to me and would make the scenario physically impossible if the investigator is stuck there. So like I said, the way I'm going to get around that is Jacqueline just can't move for the remainder of the turn. So let's zoom back out, which I'm actually fine with Jacqueline not moving for the remainder of the turn, because her turn doesn't involve her moving anyway. Because Action 2, she'll move up to Keziah's room, and then Action 3, she will investigate. She's up 1, actually, thanks to the Black Book. And that's where she's going to, unless Mandy's got something she can give her. We'll use Surprising Find and put Jacqueline up 2. Or up, no, she's up 1. Oh no, she is up 2. It's Black Book. Never mind. Stop being dumb for next night. Tentacle Touched, which I'm not too terribly bothered about. The bug on the interaction between the 9th ward and Unstable Energies was a much bigger problem. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy needs to get rid of some of these treacheries. So I think that should be first on her agenda, actually. So Mandy will try to get rid of Pulled by the Stars for Action 1. And we'll commit Essence of the Dream to it to put her up 2. Jacqueline's got plenty of head. Is there anything I'm okay parting with? We'll use the Chthonian Stone and put Mandy up 3. -2 gets rid of Pulled by the Stars, because she was up, 3, was even, 5, 6, yeah, she was up 3, so Mandy passes by 1, so Pulled by the Stars is gone, which means she no longer has to keep moving or take 2 horror. Action 2 will be to, she's got to pay 1 resource, which is annoying because of Maligned. So she'll play Burning the Midnight Oil, gaining a net of 1 resource, which will put her up to 5. She's still up 3 she's still up 3 investigating. And that's where she's going to test. Tentacle Touched. joy. That was action 1 was to get rid of that. Action 2 to investigate. Action 3 will run that back, and hopefully we'll have a little better luck with this. So we're still up 3. Skull is still -1 because we're not in an extra dimensional location. So we'll put it into play unrevealed, then we can move to that location, which we will. Yes. And then we'll find Salem Gowl, 1692. Shroud of 3, 2 clues. As an action, test Lore 3. If you succeed, move to any unrevealed location, group limit once per game. Haunted, move to Keziah's room. Not even Cotton Mather could explain the curves and angles smeared on the gray stone walls with some red, sticky fluid. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House. Now, I wouldn't actually be all that broken up about a haunted ability, about a haunted card going off there, because mostly because I want to be back at Keziah's room, because I still need to find the Witch House ruins. But anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we still have no enemies in play, so we'll go ahead, reset everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 6. Jacqueline draws. Twila should also be unexhausted. Occult Theory. Ooh. While Occult Theory is in your hand or committed to a skill test, gains will icons equal to your lore, which is 4, and lore icons equal to your will, which is 7. Jeez. Mandy draws. Research Librarian. After it enters play, search your deck for a tome asset and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. Something to keep in mind, but Mythos Phase, we go up to 4 Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Fate of All Fools. Uh-oh. There is another copy of Fate of All Fools, so Mandy draws the top card of the encounter deck. That card gains peril, can't be cancelled, and cards can't be committed to skill test while resolving its revelation effect. So this is Mandy's Fate of All Fools card she finds. Meddlesome Familiar. Oh joy. If Brown Jenkin is not in play, and he's not, search the encounter deck and discard pile for him, spawn him at your location, and take 1 damage. So the only fortunate thing here is that Brown is aloof. So he's back again at Mandy's location. And then Mandy will draw. Meddlesome Familiar again. Jeez. So now we get another swarm of rats, and Mandy should have taken 1 damage from the rat, or from Brown coming out. So Mandy is now engaged with a swarm of rats, and she takes 2 damage from that. So I'll remember to do that. Oh, fantastic. So, I should have Pathfinder down to Jacqueline, but a little late to worry about that now. I might still be able to get out of this, actually, but we'll go into the investigation phase, and let's see what Mandy can do about that. Sorry, I should have mentioned starting Mandy's turn in her play area. Speaking of start of her turn, Essence of the Dream comes back to her hand. Action 1 will be to try to give the swarm of rats the slip, and I'll commit Survey the Area. So it gains agility icons equal to my lore, which right now is 6. So I'm at 4-5 because of the tarot card, so I'm base up 2. This puts me up 8. I really need to get away from this swarm of rats. that is a minus, that's a well-loved -2, which gets us away from the swarm of rats. And then, once I finish that up, we'll Pathfinder over to the map. Pathfinder will bring us down to Keziah's room, and I am most definitely not exhausting Janae to bring the swarm of rats down here, even for Jacqueline to deal with it. But anyway, action 2 will be to investigate, see if we can get another location in play. Mandy is up 3, 5, 6. She's up 2 right now. I'll use Essence of the Dream to put her up 4. Skull is -1 since she's not in an extra dimensional location. Well, yet. Anyway, we'll move that, and then Mandy will move to it. She finds... Yeah, we'll be moving Mandy to it, so let me move her over here, and then we find... Hey, the Witch House Ruins. Shroud of 2, no clues. As an action, investigate. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, heal 2 horror, limit once per game. Haunted, lose 1 action. These appear to be the ruins of the witch house, perhaps a vision of the building's future. It is a whirlwind of crumbling bricks, blackened, moss-grown shingles, and rotting planks and timbers. Let's see, action 1 was to evade... Wait. Action 1 was to evade... We Pathfindered down. Okay, never mind. Action 2 was to investigate, and we got... Did we get... I think we got Tentacle Touched on the first one. And then action 3 was this investigation. So Mandy's all good there. That will do it for her. Jacqueline, as long as we're right here. Actually, before we do that, let's go action 1. Pay 3 resources and play Shriveling. Because I'm going to be metagaming slightly, but if I remember correctly, we've got a big fight coming up. So... I want to make sure Jacqueline's ready for that. As uses 4 charges. As an action, I can spend a charge to fight. This attack uses will instead of combat. I get +3 will and deal +2 damage for this attack. But if I reveal a bad symbol, I take 2 horror. So we'll play that, and I'll get the 4 charges out for Shriveling. That was action 1. Action 2, I'll go join Mandy over at the Witch House Ruins. And then we have the clues we need, so... I think... Do we just go ahead and advance now? Well, Brown isn't going to be moving to us, I don't think. So... On the Hunter phase, Brown won't be moving to us anyway, so... This is the last agenda of the game, or the last act of the game, I should say. So, I think we'll go ahead and advance, actually. We'll spend all of Jacqueline's clues. This may come back to bite me in the end, but... Yeah, we'll go ahead and advance the act here. Alright. A profane ritual. Searching through the ruins, you find a rotting hole in the slanted ceiling, leading to a closed-off attic. Amidst the debris and crushed and splintered bones, some human and some not. More of Keziah's awful tomes are scattered about, filled with pages of dark rituals and black spellcraft. On the floor, a circle has been carved, or perhaps gnawed, into the wood. At the center lies a spatter of dried blood and a jagged knife. What terrible rituals were performed in this profane space? Perhaps there's a way you can know for sure. You take the knife and prick your hand deep enough for blood to well in your palm. Using Keziah's formulae, you draw a pattern in the circle and carve a path through time. Put the set-aside site of the sacrifice location into play. If it's agenda 1, 2, or 3, find Nahab even if she's out of play, place 2 doom on her, and place her at the site of the sacrifice. Since it is agenda 2, I'm not going to worry about that. Find Brown Jenkin even if he's out of play, and place them in Nahab's current location. Alright, so we'll go get the site of the sacrifice, which does connect to the Witch House ruins, okay? I'm going to put it in unrevealed side face up because it didn't give me anything about moving to it. Presently he was in a crude, windowless space with rough beams and planks rising to a peak just above his head, and with a curious slanting floor underfoot. Propped level on that floor were low cases full of books of every degree and of antiquity and disintegration, and in the center were a table and bench both apparently fastened in place. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House. So that connects down here. That's a two-way location. Nahab, I believe we said, goes there as well, with 2 Doom on her. Okay. Up, that should be there. And Brown goes with her as well. Okay, well, let's take a quick look at Nahab. Nahab, she who signed the Black Book. 1 per investigator 3, so she's actually got 2 health. Hunter Retaliate. Don't remove Doom from Nahab when the agenda advances. Gets plus X fight, where X is the number of the current agenda. Forced. After the enemy phase begins, if Nahab is ready, place 1 Doom on her. 1 and 2 on attack. Okay. And then looking at the new act. Alright, stopping the ritual. You part the seams of space-time and arrive at your destination. It is the same cramped attic, but in a different time. The room is dark, save for a violet glow emanating from the far edge, where the floor falls into oblivion. From out of the abyss, the ancient crone and her familiar emerge. Nahab cannot leave the site of the sacrifice. Now, that is very good to know. Forced. When Nahab is defeated, instead of discarding her, heal all damage from her, disengage her from all investigators, and exhaust her. She doesn't ready during the upkeep phase this round. Objective. If there's no Doom on Nahab, advance. Let's see. Do we move in and try to find out about what's at the site of the sacrifice? The problem with doing that is it would wield Jacqueline's hand, and there's some stuff in here I wouldn't mind losing, but there are 2 cards in this hand that I really want no part of losing. The problem is when Nahab moves in, Mandy is going to lose her hand, and there's really nothing I can do about that, nor do I terribly mind that, come to think of it. But action 3, since I do want to protect Jacqueline's hand, I'm going to move her over to Keziah's room. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase. When the enemy phase begins, Nahab is ready, so we put a Doom on her. And then Brown will move up toward Mandy. Fortunately, he's still aloof, so Mandy won't get hit, but when the enemy phase ends, which it does now, Mandy wheels her hand and draws 2 cards. So let's see what Mandy draws. First up, a Pantalone. Limit 1 mask in play. After it enters play, draw 2 cards. When I initiate a non-lore test, I can discard Pantalone to use lore for this test instead of the skill indicated. And I've got a plan. 3 costs to play. I can fight using lore, dealing +1 damage for this attack. For each clue I have, max of +3 damage. So that's a good thing to know. But anyway, that will do it for the enemy phase. So we'll go ahead and reset everything here. And then we'll move, right. Nothing exhausted there, Pathfinder. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 1. Mandy will gain 1 resource, not 3, I wish 3. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 7. Jacqueline will draw another occult theory, which is why I protected her hand. Mandy draws a magnifying lens, which I don't particularly need right now. Fast, I get +1 lore while investigating, but anyway. Mythos Phase, the agenda actually advances. And we don't remove Doom from the Hob, but it does count toward the agenda. The Crone. A dizzying violet light emerges from the crevices of the ramshackle house, behind cracks in the wooden paneling and underneath the floor, bathing you from every angle. An inhuman squeal mocks you as a figure emerges from the witchlight. Only a hint of humanity remains in her crooked and broken form. The crone cackles with a nightmarish timbre, her voice echoing and resounding from the realm beyond. If it's Act 3, so we put another Doom on the Hob, which brings her up to 4. Shuffle both set-aside copies of Ghostly Presence into the encounter deck, and find Brown Jenkins even if he's out of play, and place him in the Hob's current location. So Brown moves right back to the site of the sacrifice. Okay. And then looking at our new agenda, 3A, the Witchlight. In the dazzling violet light of Dream, the old woman and fanged, furry thing came again, and with a greater distinctness than on any former occasion. This time they actually reached him, and he felt the crone's withered claws clutching at him. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Witch House. Each non-weakness enemy gets +3 health. After you defeat Brown Jenkins or Nahab, gain 1 clue from the token bank. 2 clues instead if there are 3 or more investigators in the game. So I actually forgot about that, which means Brown Jenkins now has 4 health and Nahab has 6 health, because apparently I can't do first grade math. But anyway, let me check this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. So we're actually going to cross that in the next Mythos phase, which let's fall into that now. First Doom on the new agenda, but we're at 5 because of Nahab. Jacqueline draws. From the other side, Revelation test Agility 3. If you fail, resolve each haunted ability on your location. If you fail by 3 or more, resolve each of them twice instead. Her haunted is drawing a hex card. We are even, and I think that's where we have to test. Do we have... Let me see if I have any agility first. I doubt it, but... Nope. And I don't really want to throw her ability into this because I think I need it late, because I think I'm going to need it later in the turn. -2 means she fails by 2, so she only has to resolve the haunted ability once. So we go until we hit a hex. Alright, Despoiled. That's a hex. So after I succeeded a skill test, I have to increase the difficulty of each subsequent test I perform this turn by 1. Okay, as an action, test Will 3. If I succeed, discard Despoiled. If there's an exhausted witch enemy at my location, this test is automatically successful. Actually, Agility 3. I was even, so yeah, I still would have resolved it once, but now we're up to 20 cards in the discard pile. Mandy draws. Irresistible Demise. Test Agility 2. If you fail, take 2 damage. Yikes. If you succeed, put Unavoidable Demise into play next to the agenda deck. While Unavoidable Demise is next to the agenda deck, each other copy of Unavoidable Demise gets +1 difficulty and deals +1 damage if the test is failed. So right now, Mandy's up 2. And that's where she has to test. Actually, she's up 3, actually, because of Janae and the Empress. So she's up 3. Essence of the Dream is not in her hand yet. So up 3. Elder Thing, -3 if you fail, resolve the Hunter keyword on each enemy in play. So we don't fail. And that doesn't go by the agenda deck. So anyway, that will do it for the Mythos Phase. Investigation Phase, I wonder if we just... I kind of want to send Mandy in to find out, but she's going to get rocked on the... She's going to get rocked on the enemy phase unless I can somehow clear out... unless I can somehow either get away from Nahab, which I might be able to do. We can actually start her turn at her play area. Start of her turn, Essence of the Dream comes back to her hand. Action 1 will spend 1 resource, bring that back over here, to play out Pantalone. So when I initiate a non-lore test, so when it enters play, which I'm going to do in a second, I draw 2 cards. And then when I resolve a non-lore test, I discard Pantalone to use lore for this test instead of the actual skill. So I'll draw the 2 cards for that. First up, Mandy will draw Dr. Milan Christopher, who is very late to the party, giving us +1 lore. After you successfully investigate, gain a resource. I probably don't need him at this point. Action, or card 2 is the Occult Lexicon. This I might need. Limit 1 per deck, 2 lore on commit, 2 cost to play. And when I play a copy of Bloodright, I can either change each 2 to a 3 or shuffle it into my deck instead of discarding it. Yeah, that actually might be worthwhile. So action 2, I will go ahead and play out the aforementioned Occult Lexicon. So I'll go get my Bloodrights. I gotta come up from this side. There we go. Put Mandy back down. 1 copy of Bloodright into my hand. The other 2 go into my deck. Oh, that should have cost 3 resources, actually. Forgot about Maligned. Because apparently I cannot do first grade math. So Milan would actually be a 5 cost to play as well. But anyway, next we'll Pathfinder over to the map. Pathfinder will bring her down to the site of the sacrifice, where she'll immediately make friends with Nahab. And we'll take a look at the site of the sacrifice. We find Shroud of 4, 6 clues. As an action, investigators at this location spend 1 per investigator clues as a group. Remove 1 doom from Nahab. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity from Nahab. Forced at the end of the round, add clues to this location until it has 3 per investigator on it. And on a haunted, you must either place 1 doom on Nahab or Nahab attacks you. Okay. Alright, and it's a Shroud of 4, so I do have the option of Essence of the Dream available to me. How do I want to do this? So, what do I need to be able to do here? I have... Nahab actually has 2 6 health we established. So, do I try to give her the slip? That's actually not a completely terrible idea. Just because I know I'm getting hit. Just because I know I'm getting hit if I'm not careful. So I think we do try to give her the slip. Right now we're up. Mandy had to take an agility test, so she doesn't get the Empress. But she's at 3, 4. I'll commit to the Essence of the Dream for 4 more to put her up 5. And I think that's the best I can do. I'm not going to discard Pantalone because, like I said, I'm up 5 already on this evasion test. And that only goes off if she's ready. so let me just calculate this again. 3, 4, 4 more from Essence of the Dream. So yeah, Mandy's up 5. And manages to get Tentacle touched at probably the worst time. Joy. Okay, so now I probably... How much do I care about Mandy's hand right now? Right now, losing that blood right's gonna hurt, or as what I've got a plan. Jacqueline's hand I would care a lot more about. Jacqueline's hand I care far more about right now. Unfortunately, unfortunately I can't pull this off where I can't get Brown off. I can't get Nahab out of the location. I can't get Jacqueline in and kill Nahab this turn, which is a problem. So the question is, do I have Mandy take the bullet and protect Jacqueline's hand to come in there next turn? I kind of think I have to, unfortunately. But there is an option where I can heal Horror. So yeah, I think I do have to kind of have Jacqueline take a little bit of a bullet. Or I have to have, not Jacqueline, I have to have Mandy take a bullet here. So action 1, Jacqueline's going to move into the Witch House Ruins. Action 2, she's going to make the test on the location. So she's testing, she's investigating actually. So she's at, if you succeed instead of discovering clues, healing 2 horror. I think they succeed is limit once per game. So she's investigating, that's a Shroud of 2, 3, 4. How badly do I need the heal? I think I need... I need enough that I'll throw her ability into it, but I don't think I need enough that I want to throw an occult theory into it. I'm going to need that next turn. So anyway, we're up... What did we say? We're up 2, but we're throwing Jacqueline's ability into this. Token 1 is an Elder thing, which wouldn't fail us by it. It's actually that. I think that would fail us by itself because we were only up 2. Elder Sign, which I might have to keep because I need the heal pretty badly, and a 0. So actually, I will cancel the Elder Sign and the Elder thing once again. So Jacqueline's used the heal 2 horror on there. I wish I had another class marker that I could use to mark the location that Jacqueline's done it, but I guess I'm just going to have to remember. But because I canceled the Elder Sign, Jacqueline gets to draw a card. She draws Medicio della Peste. We already have a mask in place, so I can't play this yet. But anyway, so action 1 move, I think action 3 will just be to take a resource. So that will do it for Jacqueline, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Mandy takes 1 and 2, which she can take all of that herself for now. And then when the enemy phase is over, Brown is actually going to wheel her hand, so she loses 4 cards, 2 of which I really was going to need next turn. But I might be able to get around that. So anyway, Mandy has 1 weakness, so draw the top card of your deck. If it's not a weakness, remove it from the game. Then I shuffle my deck, discard pile, hand, and play area for each other copy and remove those from the game as well. So through the gates finds Encyclopedia, which I think I had 1 of in the discard pile from earlier. Oh, no, I think did I shuffle that away? I might have. I think what happened was I had Encyclopedia in my hand. There it is. I think I had an Encyclopedia in my hand when I did setup last night. So I ended up not taking that on Mulligan. I ended up mulliganing that away, but now that we've got that all figured out, give this a shuffle and a cut. Okay, so that was the end of the enemy phase, which means now we can go ahead and reset everything. The swarm of rats probably should have woken up and been down here. But anyway, we'll reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 4. Jacqueline draws. Another copy of Shriveling level 5. That could be a sight for sore eyes, but just to make sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. I do have to discard. I will discard Prophetic. Mandy draws. Another magnifying lens, which I don't probably need right now, but anyway. Enemy phase, we didn't put a Doom up on Nahab, so we're actually at 5 on her, because she was ready. But anyway, Mythos phase now. Doom goes up on the agenda to 2, but we're at 7 because of Nahab. Jacqueline draws. Trespasser, test Will 2. Test gains 1+1 difficulty for each non-weakness treachery in your threat area. If you fail, take 2 or 2. Jacqueline right now is up 5, 6, 7. She's up 5 on that. I'm not going to use her ability because I need her ability later in the turn. -2 means she passes, but I will leave... Oh no, never mind. I thought it boosted her. Oh, no, it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get another spin down. Probably should have just left these down here, but this is actually going to be very useful to keep track of the number of tests I pass on Jacqueline, just so I know how much I have to boost the difficulty of each subsequent test. So Jacqueline has passed 1 test. She passed her Trespasser. Mandy draws. Another unavoidable demise. We saw this earlier, so she's at 3, 4, 5 from Empress. She's up 3, and that's where I'll commit Pathfinder to go up 4, because I don't think she's moving again I don't think we're moving again this scenario. Elder Sign, as we saw earlier, is +0. Search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test if able. Alright, so Pathfinder is committed. What do I want here? I forgot to get the 6 clues for Site of the Sacrifice. I'm going to need something that's going to help me evade Nahab and then start working like crazy on clues. So I think I go... Do I go... I think I gotta go 6 deep here, honestly. I also need to find potentially another copy of Bloodright, or 5, 6. Because I need to be able to do damage here. Card 1 is a Eureka, which I could potentially use, but that's further search. Card 2, Amnesia, which I do not want any part of, so I'm going to sort considering, not considering. I've got a plan, which I need clues for, but I'm open to that if I can get Nahab off of Mandy. Guided by the Unseen, which I don't particularly want here. Hawkeye Folding Camera, which I'm not going to have time to let be effective, and Your Worst Nightmare. No thank you. So I think I've got a plan and hope to God that Jacqueline can get in there and get Nahab off of Mandy. Although there's an argument to be made as well for... There is an argument to be made for taking Brown out, because now now that Jacqueline's going to be in there as well, no. Actually, no, I take that back. We might be able to take out Brown. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, so we're all clear there. Anyway, Unavoidable Demise is gone. And I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so back to the investigation phase now. Jacqueline is going to have a bit of a busy turn on her hands, so let's move down. Let's move over to the map, actually. Action 1, Jacqueline will move into the site of the sacrifice. Action 2, we'll spend her 3 resources to play Storm of Spirits. So once again, we get +2. We had +2 will. We were using will, get +2 will for the attack. Instead, if we succeed, we deal 3 damage to the enemies. But if we pull a bad symbol, deal 2 damage to everybody, which would take Mandy out. So I'm absolutely using Jacqueline's ability on this. So anyway, but I'm aiming at Nahab. Each non-ready creature enemy gets +2 fight. Each non-weakness enemy gets +3 health. So Jacqueline right now is at 5, 6, 7, 9 to, what did we say, 3? She's up 6, and I'm throwing her ability... Actually, she's up 5, and I'm throwing her ability into this. Three tokens. Okay. Token 1, -3, which once again we're up 5, so I need to be mindful of that. And this is an extra dimensional location, so I need to be careful for skulls as well. +1 and a tentacle. So I will snap cancel the tentacle, and everything there takes 3 damage. So Brown takes 3, and Nahab takes 3. That was action 2. Action 3, I think Jacqueline will engage Nahab away from Mandy. Anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy now gets Essence of the Dream into her hand. I think for action 1... For action 1, we'll go ahead and play out for 1 resource the Strange Solution. So as an action, I can spend 1 supply to fight, attacking with a base combat of 6, dealing +2 damage. Okay, we'll put that here. We'll get 3 supplies out for that. And then for action 2... Let's see, for action 2... Oh, that should have cost 2 resources. Once again, I can't do first grade math because I keep forgetting about Maligned. Which means I should be down to 1 resource because I played Pantalone last turn. Action 2... Do we aim at Nahab and try to exhaust her? Brown's going to wheel our hand. Nahab can... And we're going to be putting another Doom on her. This is also the last agenda. Or not the... This isn't the last agenda, but we're advancing very quickly. Because we don't remove Doom from Nahab. So the question here remains... Do we try to take out Brown and stop wheeling our hand? Or do we put another Doom up on Nahab and... potentially speed up the clock. I think we try to take out Brown because I don't really want to wheel hands right now. So action 2 will engage Brown because he's aloof. And then action 3, Mandy will attack, and I'll discard Pantalone to make this a lore test. So I'm at 5, 6. I'm at 6, and I'll commit my Essence of the Dream to put her up a lot, mainly because it's a free skill commit. Actually, I'll go with this one. Skull is a -3, which because we are in an extra dimensional location, but most importantly, Brown is defeated, and Mandy gets a clue from the token pool. So we're up to 2 now. But anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Nahab is our only enemy in play, and she hits Jacqueline for 1 and 2, which I can have Jacqueline take herself. It helps if I get the horror icon out. Most importantly, though, we don't wheel hands as long as Brown still isn't in play. So anyway, now we can go ahead and reset everything. We actually do put another Doom on Nahab as well, which kind of is annoying, but there's nothing we can do about that. But anyway, now let's move back up top for the Upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 1. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 2. Jacqueline draws an Enchanted Bow. We saw this earlier, but we discarded it earlier. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're fine there. Mandy draws Death 13. Where was this at the start of the game? It's basically it's Mandy's tarot card for lore. Mythos Phase, we advance again. We're flying through this scenario, unfortunately. An Awakening. A sudden flash of light, of violet light, causes you to reel backwards. The spectral form of the crone is broken and shattered, but as you fall you can see a sinister grin play across her misshapen face. A jolt of pain surges through you as your head strikes the surface of the wall, and the witch's terrible grin is the last thing you see before everything goes black. When you awaken, the witch light is gone, but a vision is burned in your mind. The ancient crone, bent over a slanted floor, leering gleefully at a rotting book, a misshapen knife in her crooked fingers. Behind her, the twilight abyss extends into oblivion, and a gaping maw begins to close. If it's Act 1 or 2, which it's not. If it's Act 3, we put 1 Doom on Nahab. So, barring something crazy, well, Mandy's got enough clues to give us another round. But let's see what the Mythos deck decides it wants to do after we look at what's our last agenda. Marked for Sacrifice. Either this house is truly haunted, or its strange angles and eerie light are playing tricks on your curse-addled mind. Are those ghostly visions real, or echoes of the house's gruesome past? Each non-weakness enemy gets +4 health. So 6... So actually we were at 5 health? With the last agenda? No, we're at 6 now. Because 1 per investigator is 2, plus 4 from this is 6. We were at 5 health before. Which means Brown... No, Brown would have 5 health now. Nahab has 6. Anyway, we still have the same clause about if you defeat either one of them. So Jacqueline draws Vice and Villainy, which goes on to another non-permanent asset we control. It's basically the same thing as Clairvoyance. I will put that on... Oh boy, we're about to run out of cards. I'll put that on the 4 of Cups, I guess. Mandy draws Trespasser. Test Will 2. Test +1 difficulty for each non-weakness treachery in your threat area. Oh boy. If you fail, take 2 or 2. That's turning into a Will 4 test. So she is down 1. I'll use Tooth of Esley to get her to even. Jacqueline, I think, almost has to commit. Almost has to give Mandy one of her occult. I know that's even. Take 2 or 2. She could survive taking damage. She could survive taking 2 horror, or I could just punt it onto Janae, which I think even is fine. Mostly because I really need to make sure I take Nahab out this round. I need to make sure I exhaust her and work on getting some of these clues. Tentacle touched. That is a problem. So Mandy will take 1 horror herself and she'll put 1 on Janae. Alright, investigation phase now. And priority 1 very much needs to be getting Nahab exhausted. So I wonder if we just dump... Okay, this is going to be a big time problem. So yeah, I think we just dump everything into exhausting Nahab. So let's move down to Jacqueline's play area. Action 1, I think we'll use Twilla to use a charge of Shriveling into Nahab. So we're testing at 5, 8, 9, 10 to... Oh no, not Brown is actually gone now because he was. So we're actually at 1, so we're up by a lot. Jacqueline can take the excess horror. So yeah, I think we will just test... We'll just test up a lot. For some reason I thought, oh no, Nahab does get plus fight, where X is the current number, or is the number of the current agenda. So that's 4, so 5, so we're up 5. Do I want to throw her ability into this test, or do I wait until I'm working on... We'll throw it into this test. I'd rather not take excess horror, and I've got 2 Drawn to the Flames, which would run the encounter deck out. But anyway, we're up 5, pulling 3 tokens. Token 1. An Elder Thing, which I don't want... Well, I can take the 2 horror, but I'd rather not if I don't have to. Card 2. A 0, which I'll probably keep if I can afford it, and... another Elder Thing. So I'll snap cancel both Elder Things, and we'll exhaust Nahab for the round. Which means now we can start working on some of these clues. So action 2. Okay, action 2 will be a charge of clairvoyance, which will give me +2 will for this investigation, and I discover 1 additional clue. And I don't have Jacqueline's ability. That's a Shroud of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm up 4. Actually, 7, 8, 9. I'm actually up 5. A +1 deals her a horror, but it also gives her 2 clues off of the location. And then action 3 will be to run the last charge of clairvoyance out. Once again, that's a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, still up 4. Actually, wait, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're actually still up 5. I can't do first grade math tonight, or today. Skull is -3, since we are in an extra dimensional location, but that does not fail us. And then that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's turn will be very simple. That's investigators as a group, so we'll spend all 6 clues and remove 3 doom from Nahab, so the scenario isn't just about to end on going into the next Mythos phase. But anyway, enemy phase, the swarm of rats moves to the witch house. We'll probably plan on having Jacqueline deal with that next round, or not next round, next 2 rounds from now, because now we've actually got a little bit of time. So anyway, we'll go ahead and unexhaust everything. Nahab is not ready on this upkeep phase. That is very important to know. But anyway, let's move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 2. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 3. Jacqueline will draw. Arcane Initiate, another ally where I'm wondering, where have you been all game? When she enters play, I can place either 1 Doom or 2 Horror on her. Exhaust the Arcane Initiate to search the top 3 cards of my deck for a spell and to draw it, shuffling my deck. Twila should be unexhausted. Mandy draws. Hawkeye Folding Camera. I'm probably not going to be able to play this and have time for it to go off because we're nearing the end of the scenario. But anyway, before we move into Mythos Phase, at the end of the round, that gets refreshed. The side of the sacrifice gets refreshed to 6 clues. Mythos Phase, we have 5 Doom on the agenda. We have 1 Doom on the agenda, but we have 5 in play because of Nahab. So Jacqueline draws. Maligned, oh joy, Mandy has this as well. And then Mandy draws. This will actually run the encounter deck out of cards, which could potentially cause a big problem for us. Mandy draws. Despoiled. So she's got the same thing Jacqueline does, except Jacqueline also has Fate of All Fools, but we're busy here. Because Vice and Villainy, 2 Vice and Villainies go off, which cost me Clairvoyance and 4 of Cups. So for the 1 on Vice and Villainy, I'm going to test that first. I don't want these hitting other assets. So I think we'll just commit. So I think we'll commit an Occult Theory to gain will equal to my lore, which right now is 4. So I'm at 6. That brings me up to 10. I'm up 7 on the first Vice and Villainy. -1 means that one goes away. We're going to be shuffling the encounter deck in a minute, but actually we shuffle immediately when it runs out. So these copies of Vice and Villainy are both, hopefully, going to end up in the discard pile. So now that spin down can go away. Actually, I need that for Jacqueline, for her Despoiled, which clearing that actually might not be a terrible idea either. But I will have a think about how I want to do. Clearing out threat areas might not be a terrible idea this turn. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. Because we do have time. Plus we're waiting for the swarm of rats to come in anyway. So that Vice and Villainy is in the discard pile. Now for the other one, I'm going to commit Jacqueline's other Occult Theory. Where is it? Here we are. This one I'm only up. So now I gotta check. I'm at 5, 6 to 4. Actually, 5, 6 plus 4. So 10 to 4, I'm only up 6 on this test. -1 gets rid of that one as well. So that's fortunate. Anyway, so those are both discarded. Going into the investigation phase now. Yeah, I think Jacqueline, as long as we've gotten the Hob exhausted, we might as well take what's basically a golden opportunity here and just clear out threat areas so we can hopefully get through this scenario. But let's move over to Jacqueline's play area. Okay, actions 1 and 2 will be to discard Jacqueline's Maligned and Despoiled. So now this spin down is no longer relevant. And then action 3, since I have a growing sense we're going to need all the clues we can find. Do we take an opportunity to play Drawn to the Flame? Start getting some clues? Or do I want to set up for... Yeah, I think we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna need all the clues we can find, and that's gonna give me 3 in. Yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll spend 4 resources, and I'll exhaust the black book to take 2 horror to reduce the cost. So that'll go there, and I'll put 1 on Twilla to play Clairvoyance level 5. So now we get +3 will, still using will instead of lore. And we discover 2 additional clues, but we do take 2 horror if we pull a good symbol. So I'll get the charges out for that. Mandy, I'm not going to move to her threat area. I'm not going to move to Mandy's play area because her turn is going to be similarly simple. Discard, Maligned, and Despoiled because we have an exhausted witch. She does get back as well. And I might as well go ahead and investigate. I mean, a clue isn't really much in the grand scheme of things, but we actually do have some options as well, because we also have the strange solution. So I think I'm going to have Mandy stay there, mostly so I can engage Nahab to Mandy so that Jacqueline can work on getting these clues off the location. But anyway, that doesn't solve what Mandy's action 3 is actually going to be. I think we will go ahead and play out... We'll spend 3 resources to play out her Death 13. So it just gives her another lore. But anyway... That's the investigation phase. Enemy phase will bring the swarm of rats down because I've got something of a plan here. I'll engage it to Jacqueline, who will take a damage from it. She'll eat it herself. Now we'll start resetting everything. Now Hob wakes up. I'm going to give her to Mandy. This is risky. Yeah, I'm going to give her to Mandy. Because the idea here is, if I can get enough clues, I can potentially end the scenario in 2 turns. But anyway, let's move back up top into the upkeep phase and see if Mythos will let us put that plan into motion. Jacqueline and Mandy each go up to 1 resource. Jacqueline draws. Crystal Pendulum, another case of where have you been all game. Accessory +1 will. After a skill test at your location begins, exhaust it to name a number. If you succeed by that amount or fail by that number, draw 1 card. Mandy draws. Your worst nightmare. Oh joy. Yeah, Yeah, this is a problem. Wonderful. Just what I wanted to see. Mythos Phase, another Doom on the agenda. We're at 6 because of Nahab. Jacqueline draws. Unhallowed Land, testing Agility 5. If you fail, for each point you fail by, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If you nail a curse, deal 1 direct horror to each investigator and each of your ally assets. Oh, fantastic. That would lose me Twilla if I fail this. Do I have any agility I can commit whatsoever? I've got 2. Twilla is very critical right now, to the point where I probably need to protect her with everything. So, yeah. Let's see, right now she's down 2. I'll use Enchanted Bow and Medicio della Peste to get to even. Mandy will use her Essence of the Dream to give her another 4. And do I want to throw Jacqueline's ability into this? Is Twilla going to be that? Is Twilla... Honestly, Twilla is probably that important right now that I think I got to dump Jacqueline's ability into this. Twilla is way too important right now. That's 3. Okay. First token up. The Elder Sign, which I'll probably cancel if I can still pass. I am up by a lot, so I might be able to cancel the Elder Sign here. -3. And a Skull, which is also a -3 since we are at an extra dimensional location. So, let's see, that brought me to even. That got me up 4. I will cancel the Skull and the Elder Sign, which means Jacqueline gets to draw a card, so she draws. Internal Injury. Oh god. Take 1 direct... Well, this isn't too bad. Take 1 direct damage, 2 actions to get rid of it. Anyway, that's gone, and we dodge the risk to Twilla. Mandy draws. Test Will 2, gets +1 difficulty for each non-weakness treachery in your threat area. If you fail, take 2 or 2. Oh joy. So she's at a will of... or she's testing at will 3? Yeah, will 3. So it's will 3, she's even. And I can take 2 or 2. I can deal with that. So we'll test at even. Actually, we'll use the Hawkeye folding camera to go up 1. Jacqueline. Jacqueline will put her up 2. +1 gets us clear of Trespasser, so we dodge a bullet there. Anyway, that will do it for the Mythos Phase. Investigation Phase, we have got a mess on our hands right now, but I think we got to start it with Jacqueline in her play area. Action 1, Jacqueline needs to kill this swarm of rats. +4 health? Yikes. So we're doing 3 damage. We are at 5, 8, 9 to 1, doing 3 damage. So we're going to need 2 charges of shriveling to kill this thing. But I have to be careful because I'm now taking 2 horror if I pull a bad symbol. which a 0 is not, thankfully, so that's 3 damage on the rat. And action 2, we'll run that back. Skull is, oh boy, this is a problem. So Skull is -3. Since I'm at an extra dimensional location. I do take 2 horror, which I can take that for now, but the rats are dead, thankfully. But for action 3, I think I have to use Twilla to try to take out your worst nightmare, because if I don't, Mandy's just going to eat it on the enemy phase. Fortunately, it is a weakness enemy, so it doesn't get +4 health, which means we should be able to take your worst nightmare out. Assuming Jacqueline doesn't die herself. Or doesn't get defeated by sanity. An elder thing. Okay, this is a problem because this gets resolved first. Actually, with shriveling, I think the way this works is -3. If you fail, you resolve the hunter keyword on each enemy in place. So the way I think this works is the token gets resolved first to determine the modified value. Actually, the way this seems worded, looking at shriveling, is it seems like it's part of the resolution. So I think your worst nightmare does bite it. Unfortunately, that's Mandy's deck. I think your worst nightmare bites it, but unfortunately, Jacqueline will be defeated by sanity, so she'll take her first mental trauma of the campaign. I will have to double check how that ruling works, but for now, your worst nightmare, we're probably almost done here anyway. Your worst nightmare is defeated, but Jacqueline takes her first mental trauma of the campaign. So that will do it for Jacqueline. Now we need to move over to Mandy.
Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight from the future here. So this is a quick clarification on that ramble about shriveling and how the sequencing works with the chaos token being revealed. So it's actually a timing question there, where the reveal actually happens on step 3 of the test. So if we pull one of the bad symbols out, in this case we revealed an elder thing, that gets resolved first. So we actually would take the horror there before we get through the entire skill test. So Jacqueline would have been defeated by sanity there, which would have left your worst nightmare on Mandy, and probably would have meant she would have had to try to get away from your worst nightmare. So I end up proceeding with the scenario like I did get away from it, but it turns out I didn't. So the way I'm going to handle that is Mandy's actually going to take a mental trauma from that as well, because I'm not sure Mandy was getting away from 2 enemies to be able to evade both of them anyway, not with her agility being where it is. But anyway, just a little clarification on that, so on with the scenario.
Start of turn, Essence of the Dream comes back to the hand. The problem right now is that Mandy is just going to be defeated as well. She might survive. But now we don't have Jacqueline to help speed up the clue gathering. So, but yeah, if Mandy can't get away from Nahab, the scenario is just going to be over. She takes 1, and actually no, it won't, well, yes, it will be over because we will advance through the last agenda, which is rather unfortunate, but there's no help for that at this point. So I think we have to try to evade. We're at 4. I'll commit Essence of the Dream for 4 more to put her up 5, trying to evade Nahab. Actually, we're at 5. So she's up 6, actually, trying to evade Nahab. A 0 gets her away from Nahab, thankfully. So the scenario isn't just over yet, but we're not in very good shape either. Losing Jacqueline hurts immeasurably. Action 2, we might as well start investigating. We're up 3. A 0 gets us a clue. And then action 3 will run the investigate back. -1 gets another clue off the location, so that's fantastic. But anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, right now we have Nahab in play who's been exhausted. But anyway, Nahab will come back and make friends with Mandy. And then we'll move back up top. Well, actually, we'll stay right here for the upkeep phase since Mandy's the only investigator. She gains a resource, goes to 2. Then Mandy draws. Amnesia. Choose and discard all but 1 card from your hand. Not what I wanted to see right now, Mandy. We'll keep I've Got a Plan, because we'll probably need that. Mythos Phase. Doom goes up on the agenda to 3. We have 7 in play because of Nahab. And then Mandy draws. Unavoidable Demise. This again. So Agility 2. Right now she's up 3 because of the tarot card. A 0 keeps her away from that. But now we have a bit of a problem on our hands. So right now I'm starting to get a very strong sense that we're just going to be on a treadmill. Because we're going to go through... Because the problem here is we're actually in a tight pickle. I can miss 1 test on... The problem is, well... I can spend the 2 clues to get them off of Nahab, but all I'm doing at that point is delaying the end of the scenario. I feel like I'm just kind of on a treadmill at this point. Because losing Jacqueline really means I can't make any progress, but we might as well play it out. So, for action 1, Mandy will spend 2 clues and take a Doom off of Nahab. Action 2, well... I think we're just going to make a mercy killing of it at this point. Action 2 will attack Nahab with a strange solution. So 6-2, 1 up 5 for 3 damage. That should have been refilled to 6 clues at the end of the last round. Actually, Essence of the Dream should be back in my hand. Yep, so up 3. Skull, which is a -3 because we're at an extra dimensional location, but it's still not enough to fail, so Nahab takes 3 damage. Action 3 will... Actually, Action 1 was to spend 2 clues to get a Doom off. Okay, so we're on action 3 right now. Unfortunately, this... And we're running the attack back. This has to hit, or else the scenario is just going to be over. Elder Thing, which I don't think hits. -3, if you fail, resolve the Hunter keyword. Actually, I think we do... Oh, no. I keep forgetting about the clause. So, plus X fight Rex is the number of the current agenda, so 4. So actually, I don't think that first attack with a base of 6... We pulled a 0, I think, so the first one would have hit, but this one won't. This attack won't hit because she's at a fight of 5 right now, so never mind. We do fail that, but anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Nahab gets a doom on her. Since she is ready, I probably should have tried to evade her, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was trying to lock her down, because that's the only way I was going to make progress. Mandy gets hit for 1 and 2. She can take the 1 and the 2. Anyway, we'll reset everything for the upkeep phase. Then Mandy will gain a resource, go to 3. And then she'll draw the research librarian, who's a little late to the party, but we advance. A dream in the witch house. Flashes of vision spark your memory as you are dragged along the dirty floor, along the dirty wooden floor. A foul ceremony, the house, Nahab, a rhythmic chant, the spiraling black vortex, a dark revelry, the primal chaos, a child's cries, a writhing tunnel inside your chest, R1. With that, let's move back up top for R1. We're all set for Resolution 1, so let's make sure that's at the beginning, and then we'll jump right in.
Resolution 1. You awaken in the muddy lawn at the base of some crooked wooden steps, the front door of the witch house looming above you. Every fiber of your being is filled with regret. You know you have failed to prevent something awful, though you are not sure exactly what. The evidence of your eyes and ears suggests what you saw inside the witch house was not concurrent with here and now. Regardless, you learn several things about Keziah Mason, the witch who once inhabited this old and forsaken house. With your spirit diminished and your body aching, this information will have to suffice. You dare not venture back into this infernal house. Each investigator earns experience equal to the Victory X value of each card in the Victory display. If Brown Jenkin was defeated at least once during this scenario, each investigator earns 1 bonus experience. If Nahab was defeated at least once during this scenario, each investigator earns 1 bonus experience.
Okay, zip it for a second. So, going over to the locations, we have 2 victory points, plus 2 because we defeated both Brown and Nahab once. So our investigators get a total of 4 experience. Continue.
The Act deck. If it was Act 1 when the scenario ended,
which it was
no
not.
Additional record is made. If it was Act 2 when the scenario ended,
also
in your campaign log under Mementos Discovered, record Gilman's
let me
journal.
just skip past this and see if I can find where Act 3 starts.
If it was Act 3 when the scenario ended, under Mementos Discovered, record Gilman's journal and Keziah's formulae. Okay. Additionally, anyone...
Zip it for a second. Okay, so under Mementos Discovered, I'm recording... Hopefully I get the spell right. Gilman's journal. Keziah's formulae. Okay, you may continue.
You may choose to add the Black Book story asset to his or her deck. This card does not count toward that investigator's deck size. If an investigator chooses to include the Black Book in his or her deck, add 1 skull token to the chaos bag for the remainder of the campaign.
Alright, so as we saw with the Black Book, we were actually using that to quite good effect in the scenario. So, I'm probably, given that Jacqueline's hand slots are not nearly as crowded as Mandy's, I'm actually going to give it to Jacqueline. This is another situation where I'm open to being wrong about who I'm giving the Black Book to. But if you can make an argument to move it over to Mandy, I'll move it over to Mandy when I do when I do upgrades. But for now, I'm going to give the Black Book to Jacqueline. So let me just make a quick note of that. And then the skull token that I added to the bag as part of setup, I'm actually just going to leave that in, as I added from the tarot card. I'm actually just going to add that to the bag. I'm just going to leave that in there. In fact, I'm going to see if I can unearth another skull here because I normally try to keep a set of the keys together for the keys later in the... I think it might be the next scenario, actually, that I need the symbols for keys for, but I'm not going to get into that too much here, other than wondering where in the world I hid those skulls. Hid them deep in this... here we go. Let's see, I hid them deep in this bag. So I'm actually going through my bag of extra chaos tokens off shot. So yeah, the skull that's in there right now, I'm just going to leave in the bag because that'll be the easiest thing to do. But anyway, that will do it for this playthrough of Return to the Secret Name. Picked up 4 experience, but also Jacqueline's first mental trauma on the campaign. But anyway, we'll have another full slate of videos this week. Tonight on Twitch, if you see this in time, I'll be streaming Front Mission 3. Wednesday we'll upgrade the decks. Thursday we'll be streaming The City of Final Fantasy NT on Twitch. And then Sunday will be another double day next week, as I continue the fall campaign on the YouTube channel with Return to the Wages of Sin. And Twitch, I'll be back into Front Mission 3 once again. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.